soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior.
Into thy hands I commit my spirit.
And we are live. How is the audio, everybody? Y'all able to hear me all right? Should be good, right? The audio? Should be good. God bless everybody. We're not live yet on radio. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you all are tuning in the world. We have an incredible show today. An incredible one. We'll be live on the air in 15 minutes. But you all get backstage access. We're going to have an incredible time. We've got the incredible Alan Rule joining. In my humble estimation, I don't think there's anybody better than him. When it comes to this topic, he's the best. Look at that. We got a hater, man. What a bunch of haters this morning, man. Early in the morning, we got haters. God bless you guys. Guys, thank you for your support. Shout out to Joe Sanchez, who became a member. And you all, thank you for anyone that does become a member or that is a member. Your support allows us to be here. Thank you guys for your incredible support. The Lord bless you. And we got the hater. We got the humblest of all humble people in Rosarium here. The humblest one of them all. Good morning, guys, or good afternoon and good evening, and to you as well, James. How you doing today, brother? Laudetur Jesus Christus. Check the calendar. I invited you for possible saints of the day. Let's do that. You need Nunc Dimittis as an outro now. Very cool. I'll check it out. By the way, I'm digging into more info for you on some more stuff in Cyprian. Remind me later on. Definitely remind me later on as we continue diving in. How's everybody doing today? Humbleness has arrived, guys. You make sure to get your questions in. Daniel, how you doing, brother? Against him? How on earth? Why? Yeah, we would have been overrun, man. But hey, if you are not for them, today is your day to send incredible questions in. We got a guest here ready, man. Alan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing amazing, William, up here in the great white frozen north.
I bet it's cold where you're at, isn't it?
Well, believe it or not, this February is not as bad as it could be. So, I mean,
Okay.
I've had, I like right now it could be minus 35 Celsius. Fortunately, it's not that cold. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, my friend. Great. Happy to have you here. I love this topic, and you are the man when it comes to it, man. You are the man. For people, you know, we're not live yet. We'll be live in 12 and a half minutes. For people that say, well, you know, the Crusades, I don't approve of them. What is your position? Do you think that they were, perhaps not all of them, do you think that they were overall justified? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yes, I do think that, but like we got to remember, I'm not trying to say the Crusades were perfect. There's these people
Right.
line is like gung ho. They got pictures of Templars. No, no, no. Let's just take a step back and take a look at them from a historic point of view. And
Gotcha.
then you got the Muslims and the liberals and some Christians who unfortunately don't know better, who say,
Sure.
"Oh, they were the worst atrocities in human history."
Mm.
And they were, an early version of genocide and all this garbage. No, that's not true at all. I mean, they were they conquests? Yes, they were, but they were conquests that had a context.
Okay.
And when you take a look at that historical context, it's not that bad. I don't know how much I should say now, and I should
Yeah.
wait till we're
Yeah,
on the
wait
line.
a little bit. Yeah, definitely
Okay.
wait a little bit because we'll be live in a bit. But I guess before it'd be good time to pick your brain. What have you been up to? What have you been up to, brother? Anything new?
Just pause for 10 seconds. I gotta close.
Yeah, no worries, brother. While you pause, I want to give a shout out to Gus. Gus, how you doing, brother? The Lord bless you, my friend Gus. Thank you for your support. He says, thank God for the Holy Crusades. Preserved the West. Yeah, maybe we can change Daniel's mind. Daniel, I'd love to see if we can maybe change your mind today. We'll see about that. But maybe Daniel can also give his thoughts on why he thinks they were, or maybe he doesn't think they were completely unjustified. Maybe he thinks that some of them were unjustified. But this is a fascinating topic where really not a whole lot of people have dug into. I know Gus, by the way, Gus, let us know when you're back, man. I know Gus has was a phenomenal radio host, and I know he's planning to come back and do stuff like that. Gus, when you come back, man, and you're back doing radio stuff, you got to get this guy right here on for the Crusades. He does incredible, phenomenal, great work. Yeah. So, what have you been up to, man? What has been with you, brother?
Well, I've started a Substack, and I recommend everyone go there. I've got the paid subscription and the free. I'd like the paid, but if you just want to go free, you can get about 90% of my wisdom because most of my content is free.
Awesome.
And the thing about that is, I still do YouTube. In fact, I had an interview with the elite Catholic historian Charles Coulomb yesterday. You know him, right?
Oh yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing historian. I had him on yesterday. I've had him on 3 or 4 times to talk about, like we did the English Civil War, the 30 Years' War, and we did the 7 Years' War yesterday.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, and yeah, but I've largely moved to Substack, so just follow me on Substack or subscribe.
Okay.
It's Alan Rule. And yeah, no, I'm gonna have a post out today about I'll tease the topic. You
Cool.
know how lots of people say, oh yeah, the schism between the Greek Orthodox and the Catholics happened in 1054, but no one believed that at the time, blah blah blah.
Right.
People only say that because they've heard it from someone else. They haven't actually looked into the sources, whether they believe it at the time or not.
Yep.
Yeah, because like if you look at Father Trenham, I got nothing personally against Father Trenham, but he said that, and I'm like, have you really looked at the sources?
Right.
And I'm going to show how it was viewed in both East and West using documents from the 11th century, not
Very nice
scholarship, quote unquote scholarship, which is actually a fraud. Anyway,
yeah.
So,
by the way,
yeah,
for the audience, Alan is a big time sources guy, which is what I love having you on, man. You got first-hand source material. You've got the very best material. So, man, it's going to be fun. You dive into the very, very best of the information, and so I think this is going to be a phenomenal show. We got about 9 minutes before we go live, but yeah, I think it's going to be great. Have you replied to anybody else? Have you done any response videos, or you're not very active on YouTube right now?
I was thinking, well, for one reason or another, the YouTube trust and safety team has kind of suspended my live streaming privileges. I don't know the actual reason. And they said, okay, if you follow these steps, we'll work toward restoring it.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, so I've been following the steps, and my response is pending. So I don't know how they've taken it so far, but YouTube's being screw with me. I don't put out any controversial content. I don't know why.
Right, not at all. Daniel, you don't have to stay silent, brother. You can ask a question, and we'll snag it, brother, or I'll take it as a question. James is saying, and I don't think you'd know this, right? Lord, let me find a saint who was part of the Crusades, has a feast day of February 4th. That'd be really hard. I don't think that would be like a kind of a miracle.
Well, there is a saint on the Crusades whose feast day I believe is in November.
Oh, in November though, not today though.
No, not today. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about Saint Francis of Assisi. His feast day is in November, right?
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not sure when that is. I'm not entirely certain.
I believe it's in November.
Is it really?
Let me check. Francis of Assisi on Wikipedia. Feast October 4th. It was October.
We got a number of people against the Crusades. Okay, that is new to me. The majority of people I always encounter may not approve of everything that occurred, but at least
neither
say
do
that
I.
overall they were
Neither
good.
do
right.
I.
Okay, so that's good. There you go, Daniel.
Everything.
There you go, Shiri. There you go. So then, yeah. Okay.
I mean, like, for example, like we would say that World War II was an okay war to fight, but we're not going to defend every act that the Allies did.
Right. We shouldn't.
Yeah. Like, are we going to? I think every single pope since Pius XII has condemned the atomic bombs. I condemn the atomic bombs, and I think every Catholic should. There's no doubt about that. That America shouldn't have gone to war with the Empire of Japan on December 7th, 1941.
Right.
So, or the day after, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean. Things that should always be condemned. We agree 100%.
Yeah, exactly. There's atrocities in almost every war.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. And we don't have to approve of those atrocities, and we can very well condemn them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think Daniel is bringing up a very, very profound point. So we'll tackle that when we go live in the show. It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll be on the radio. So in just a moment, audience, they're going to hear this in a moment. In a moment, I'll bring them up, and that'll be a sign that we're on the air.
I'm curious. Is there a way that I can download this in podcast form after, or
without a doubt, of course.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll get you the link. Just let me know. In fact, right after we're done here, I'll get you the link. It'll be great.
All right. Yeah. And so you gave me the timestamps on how long I have in each segment.
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. Let me just pop that open. First it's the breaks occur at the 11-minute 28-second mark. So
and you know what? This is a phenomenon. Daniel, don't leave, Daniel. Don't leave, man, because I want to snag this in the second half. That is a good one. I really do want to snag. That's a great one because
that's my specialty.
That's Daniel. That is a specialty. Daniel, let me tell you something, Daniel. This guy is. I'm not just saying it because I got him on. I'm very careful with who I bring on. I'm trying to bring the best of the best. That's why, as you guys know, sometimes I'm just here because if I don't find a guest, I'm not going to bring just anybody on. This guy is the best of the best. That is a specialty. Daniel, don't leave. We'll snag that. When I like to say in the second half of the show, I like to say we dig our hand to the mailbag. So I'll grab that as a question in the second half. I know that's and you got a ton of material on that. Go ahead, brother.
I do want to say, Daniel, if you're familiar with the website 1peter5.com, that's where our good bud Timothy Flanders is editor. Solid guy. Follow him.
Very good guy.
I occasionally contribute an article there, a couple a year, and I got one on the Fourth Crusade that came out, I think, in 2022. 5,000 words. And I cite only primary sources.
That's what he does there, Daniel. Primary stuff.
There is actually
Abel. I've been trying to get him to do it. Abel, tell him. Abel, tell him to do it. Guys, tell him to do it, man. Tell him to do it, man. He's got to put all that he's got up there into a book, man. We don't have anything like it out there. Tell him, Abel. Tell him, man.
Oh man, I really should write that book. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 ideas for a book floating around in my head. The Fourth Crusade is one of them. Because I've read everything in English that's available on the Fourth Crusade.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I've read Geoffroy de Villehardouin, Robert of Cléry, Gunther of Paris, and I've read the Niketas Koniatis, who is a Greek eyewitness in Constantinople during the Crusade. And I've
Wow.
read
An
I
eyewitness.
read all the papal correspondence between the Crusaders and the Pope. And that's the most expensive book I own. I spent a lot of money on that book.
Would you agree with this statement? By the way, James, thank you for your support. The Crusades in theory was just the first is a just war after all. In practice, it failed in being perfect, but the earliest were great Christian wars. Would you agree with that?
Well, that's a long discussion in itself. I think it was
Okay.
mostly a just war because it was a war of
Okay.
defense against the Turks. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So
Mostly you agree with that then. Okay, awesome. Guys, I almost dropped the ball. Who's the saint of the day today? Who is it? Hold on.
is it Francis de Sales or?
Man, you let me down there, James. I'm gonna be on the air right now. I try to always announce.
Oh, and by the way, Constantinople, like that guy said, the Crusaders went for Constantinople. I hope he criticizes the Byzantine Empire and Constantinople for siding with Saladin on the Third Crusade. I hope he's consistent there.
Oh yeah, I think he will.
And how the Emperor Isaac II tried to impede Frederick I in his overland trek to, because during that there were four monarchs. You had William of Sicily, but he didn't do much, and you got Philip II of France, Richard the Lionheart, the one and only, and you had Frederick I, who came over land, whereas the 2 other monarchs came in ships.
Okay, we're about to be live in 30 seconds. Here we go.
Catholic commentary. Spiritual warfare. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Jesus 911.
And we are live. We're live on an incredible Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, depending on where you all are tuning in the world. Very happy to be with all of you all and thrilled and pumped because we've got an incredible guest today. We're going to be talking about all things Crusades related. Before we even dive in, I want to give an enormous shout out to the saint of the day, Saint Andrew Corsini. May he pray for us. Was a Carmelite friar, became Bishop of Florence, and of course he was very humble, a wonderful, wonderful person, humbler than a friend of mine who claims to be very humble, but really truly isn't. But this was a great bishop, a great saint that we truly love, and we ask to intercede for us. And with that being said, we're happy to be here. All of things Crusades related. There's nobody better than that, than my dear friend Alan Rule. My friend, how you been, my friend?
I am I'm doing all right. It's nice talking to you. Currently in the Great White North frozen tundra here, hanging in there, in our little police state we got here,
Right.
Trudeau's gone, but Trudeau Jr. is in power now.
Oh, right.
Yeah, his handpicked successor, because his own party threw him out because even they couldn't stand him anymore. So, just happy to help. Someone wants to talk about the Crusades. I love the Crusades. I absolutely love the Crusades. I love learning about them. They're very, because the thing I like to study more than anything is medieval history, especially church history. So
Sure.
what's more medieval church history than the Crusades? And it's something that's lied about. You know, if you have people who are constantly saying, "Oh yeah, this is like the worst thing since, you know, you've got the Holocaust and you got the Crusades." No, like there is a truth behind this, and I had to spend years binging the primary sources. But yeah, no, it's a very holistic vet, and unfortunately, most people, including Catholics, learn about the Crusades from this movie that is an abomination called Kingdom of Heaven.
Horrible movie.
Horrible movie, yeah,
Terrible movie. Terrible.
full of errors.
Yeah, I remember when I went to the theater to watch that movie, and I have limited knowledge compared to you in the Crusades, but I was very bummed out at that film. I walked out very disappointed. Never ever watching it again. A lot of my friends told me, "Hey, hold on, William, give it another chance." I have not given it another chance, and I don't think that I ever will. I was very, very bummed out. I wish we'd get a better one. I wish we would get a better one.
Mel Gibson, are you listening?
Yeah, come on, Mel. You got to produce a better one. You're definitely capable of producing one that is better than that. Disappointing. But let me ask you this: if you can summarize, what exactly are the Crusades, and why did they even begin with? Why did they even start to begin with? Forgive me.
Okay, when you think of Christendom, you think of right now you think of Europe and its respective colonies, right? But if you were in the year 600, you would think of Europe. There's no colonies yet at this point, but the Middle East, North Africa, what's modern day Turkey. And what happened is you have the rise of Islam and the rise of an Arab empire, which conquers all of North Africa, the Middle East, and about half of Spain, and then in fact almost all of Spain actually, and then it tried to conquer Constantinople and failed. And after about 100 years of jihad, it's over. You've got the Battle of Tours in the west, the Battle of Covadonga in the west, where they're stopped at around 720, 730. Then you have the failed siege of Constantinople in the east and the Battle of Ardabil in the east. I've read the primary sources on all these battles, and it stopped there. But although they've stopped this jihad, they've conquered a ton of land. And this land, they would slowly peel it back. They would slowly take back parts of Spain, parts of Sicily, parts of Anatolia. And by the year about 1000, they have taken Spain has been they only own about the bottom third of Spain at this point, the Muslims. And in the Byzantine Empire, they have taken back a lot of land. They've taken back Antioch. They've taken northern Syria. They're on the brink of taking back the Holy Land. Like the empire's expanding again.
Sure.
And of course, what happens in 1071? You have a new Islamic enemy coming on the picture, the Turks. And they come from the east. They're very recent converts to Islam. They've only been converts for about 100 years. So they're not like the Arabs so they're these fresh converts, and they start having these battles in the east. You got the Byzantine Emperor Romanus Diogenes doing these campaigns in 1068, 1069. In 1070 he can't, so he sends one of his generals. But in 1071 he goes out there and he has a battle with their Sultan Alp Arslan, the Battle of Manzikert, and he loses. He's taken prisoner, and he's treated very well, believe it or not. I've read the two primary accounts of that. And but he has to go back to Constantinople and he needs to surrender some land. But he's overthrown in a coup, and then the Turks realize their guy's overthrown, so they invade and they essentially take over all of Anatolia. But they don't just hit Anatolia; they go down, they hit the Holy Land. They're like that area, and at that point, Jerusalem was held by Egypt, the Shia Muslims in Egypt, called Fatimids. They took it from the Fatimids. So at this time, it's about 1080 now. The emperor in 1081, Alexius Comnenus, and I'd recommend everyone read in a book called The Alexiad. It's a biography of him, written by his daughter Anna Comnena. You can buy it at Penguin Books. It's very cheap, and it's a great source. And this source, it talks about, how he becomes emperor. He's only got 300 troops left in the whole empire, and so he tries some things. He goes along the coast with ships, and he does these raids and skirmishes with the Turks. Those aren't very successful, so eventually he appeals to the Pope. Now pause for a second. This is in the 1090s. In the 1070s, Pope Gregory VII was considering going on a crusade that he would lead himself, because they knew the East was in trouble in the 1070s.
Sure.
So you can find this in the correspondence of Pope Gregory VII. So what happened at this point is the Pope is in France at the time, Clermont, and he calls a crusade. He of course, that's kind of an anachronistic term, crusade. It's a pilgrimage.
Okay.
Pilgrimage to the Holy Land and to save our brothers. And so what happens is they go first they go to meet at Constantinople. There's several waves of this crusade. The first wave is the People's Crusade, like farmers with pitchforks who had a lot of zeal, but unfortunately when it came to fighting, they were the first wave, and they went into Anatolia. They raided a couple forts, but once they come up against the main Turkish army, they're just wiped out.
Wow.
And then the second wave comes, and these are actual soldiers and knights, and so they make their way in to Anatolia, and they walk by the pile of dead bodies from the People's Crusade, and they pay their respects, and then they go free the city of Nicaea, where they had the Council of Nicaea that everyone's heard of. That city was under Turkish occupation. The Crusaders liberated it. And while the Crusaders are doing this, the Byzantine troops are kind of following behind them, doing these mop-up operations. So Nicaea is free now. They engage the Turks. Now, the Turks at this time, some infighting's happening in their empire. So the Crusaders take advantage of that, and their empire has split into two. So they engage them at a place in Anatolia called Irilium. And after the Battle of Irilium, this amazing battle, the hero is Bohemond of Toronto, the son of Robert Guiscard, who was a famous Norman from the 11th century. If you know him, he's from the investiture controversy.
Sure, I know who that is. Yeah.
And then they go down to Antioch, and keep in mind, Antioch was a big city back then. Imagine taking an army and trying to attack New York today. That was the New York of that era.
Pretty enormous.
So, and it's a long siege. They try everything. They try bribing the guards, because a couple of the guards are Christians. Although it's under Islamic control, you still have some soldiers in the empire that are Christian. And then and then eventually they take Antioch.
Well, audience, we have a lot more for you, and we'll return to it on the other side of the break. We're talking about the Crusades with Alan Rule. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're on a break. They can't hear us in the air. We can talk here. That's great, man. You're doing great, brother.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm not stuttering too much.
No,
I'm
you're
happy.
great, brother.
How
No,
long
you're
is?
great.
I'm curious. How long is the second segment so I can time it so I can?
Oh, I sent it to you in a message. It is. Let me check. It is. So we were. So we return and then we break again on the 27-minute mark. So I think we return around 13 and a half or something, and then we break in the 27-minute with 28-second mark. It'll go great. I'll give you signs. It'll go great.
Okay.
Where's our guy
Yeah.
Gary, man? Gary always lets me know when the break is ending. I want to make a correction. Thank you for that, James. My bad. Andrew Corsini was not Bishop of Florence. Are you serious, man? Well, Google failed me, man. It was a Catholic website too. It's Bishop of Fiesole, which is a town near and above Florence. Okay. Where's my man Gary? He let me down, man. Gary's always here letting me know. Hold on.
Number 730.
Oh, there he is. Gary, how you doing, brother? Minute and 45 seconds. We'll be back. About a minute and a half. How's everybody doing?
You hear the
Oh no, I got it, brother. Whenever I'll let you know. I'll let you know when
The
we're
answer that solves the
I'm muting that right now so we can talk backstage. Whenever I'll let you know when we're back. It'll be good. Freddie the Jesus, how you doing, brother? Francis Baby Toe, my friend. Hold on to that question. I'm going to snag it in the second half, guys. We will tackle questions. So we got our dear friend, Orthodox Philip, in the house. So we got a lot of great questions. We're going to tackle them in the second half. Anthony, you're right. Really bad movie. Devore Marcus, how you doing, man? Good morning. Sherry, I didn't know Sherry was in Canada. God bless you, Sherry. Hope you're doing well.
what part of Canada?
I don't know. I didn't know she was in Canada. Hold on, let me see.
I can connect you to one of.
I don't know.
By the way, William,
What's up, brother?
I should be honest with you. Although I'm Canadian, I'm an Alberta separatist. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah.
There you go.
80%.
Oh yeah.
Realestateforlife.org.
Okay, we're about to return.
877 Life US 1.
And we are back, and we're talking all things Crusades related. We promise you in the second half of the show, we're going to dig our hand into the mailbag. Anything you have in your mind, whether it be controversial, maybe you agree with the Crusades, or maybe you don't. We love all of y'all. We respect your opinions, and we're here to dialogue with all of y'all. We have a phenomenal guest, my near and dear friend, my near brother, Alan Rule. He's talking about the Crusades. He is the man for this topic. And before the break, he was diving into some important information. My friend, continue, brother. Where did you leave off?
Okay, well, we talked about Antioch, how that was like a long siege, and like people start deserting the crusade. At this point, it looks like the crusade is finished. Because keep in mind, I said Antioch was kind of the equivalent of New York. So think of New York with a huge wall around it. And back then they didn't have the technology to do that. You had to scale the wall. They didn't have cannons yet, and certainly not in the West. And what happened was they managed to take Antioch eventually. They claimed to have found some relics, like the Holy Lance that pierced the side of Christ, although there's a lot of disputation around that. And at that point, they sent a letter to the Pope saying that, oh, we've captured the first seat of Peter, because like a lot of these polemicists from schismatic churches like to say, oh, don't you know that Peter was the Bishop of Antioch? Yeah, the Crusaders literally told the Pope that they have Peter's first see now. So anyway, they go down to Jerusalem and they take Jerusalem.
Right.
It's in July of 1099. And according to Kingdom of Heaven, they said, oh, they killed everyone inside these walls. No, that's not true. In fact, one of the sources I have says that when the whole thing was over, the Crusaders made the Muslims who were alive take out the dead Muslim bodies. Like,
Wow.
if they killed every Muslim, how do the Muslims who are alive take out the... Anyway,
Sure.
that's Kingdom of Heaven crap for you. Anyway,
quite inaccurate.
yeah, exactly. And so then they and then at this point there's news that an army's coming from Egypt. This is the final battle of the First Crusades, called the Battle of Ascalon. So they send out their army. So they think they're going to siege Jerusalem back from the Christians, but the Christians kind of do a preemptive strike, go attack Ascalon, defeat the Fatimids who are in Egypt, and that's because the Fatimids, I forgot to mention, had taken Jerusalem back from the Turks at that point. And in fact, at one point, they were thinking of an alliance with the Crusaders. Hey, the Turks are my enemy too. Maybe we can work together. No, it didn't work. They wanted Jerusalem. And so they defeat them at Ascalon. They're completely routed. Their army goes back to Egypt. And at this point, they set up the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And there's 4 Crusader states in total at the beginning. And believe it or not, the vast majority of these people, although they've secured this land, they want to go back to Europe. And so they go back to Europe. And then this is where you have the orders of the Templars and are set up, because you need permanent soldiers in the Holy Land. And so you have the Templars, who were formed in 1118, I believe. Was it 1118 or 1127? Sometime around there.
Somewhere around there.
Dates
Okay.
Yeah. And so then they and like, you also got the Knights of the Hospital of St. John. And if you watched that abomination of the movie Kingdom of Heaven, they do have those 2 orders there.
Terrible.
Yeah. So at least they got that part right. Yeah. So yeah, that's the First Crusade in a nutshell. And there's subsequent crusades that don't have a number attached to them. Like, there's something called a Crusade of 1101, which is kind of like the last wave of the First Crusade. And yeah, it's a crusade that is like the last wave. At this time, though, the Turks were kind of figuring out what was going on, and so they're a lot more prepared for them. And so they're able to defeat that last wave of the crusade. But the Crusaders have still set up the Holy Land at this point. So yeah, I'm not sure where you want to go from here. You want to go to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th?
Yeah. How about we do that? I think that'd be good. Yeah. Okay. Whatever direction you want to go, whichever ones you think are important for the audience to know. And I'll also urge, thank you, people, for tuning in, and remind people, if you haven't gotten the Virgin Most Powerful Radio app yet, what are you all waiting for? Get your hands on that app so you can hear the show on the go, and you can listen to the repeat over and over and over. We are creatures of repetition, and this is an information jam-packed show. I'd also recommend people, in the second half, we're going to dig our hand to the mailbag. So definitely get ready for your questions. Send them in, and I have great news. By the grace of God, soon we'll have that call-in number. But until then, send them in, and we'll dig our hand into the mailbag in the second half of the show. Yeah, brother, go ahead and go any direction you want to go. I am learning as well. This is phenomenal.
Okay, I'll quickly cover the Second Crusade, because that's not too eventful. So I said there's 4 Crusader states. There's one called the County of Edessa, which is kind of off in the east. And it gets captured by the Muslims in 1147, I want to say, 1140 something. And then the Pope calls the Second Crusade. And you have the Holy Roman Emperor. You have the French King, Louis VII. He comes there, and they crusade, and they make some bad decisions. Long story short, they don't get Edessa back. So it's kind of a failed crusade. But Crusaders still have Jerusalem, so that's good. You know, it's about the size of Israel today. In fact, it's probably a bit bigger than the size of Israel, because it actually went beyond the Jordan. Whereas today, the modern state of Israel stops at the Jordan River. And yeah, no, that's an interesting to point out. Like a lot of times, the pro-Israel people will say, "We're the only ones who established a state there." It's been a part of this empire, that empire, but the only ones who established a state there are the Jews. No, Catholics did as well. Kingdom of Jerusalem, and so where the capital was Jerusalem. So okay, so that's done, and then eventually in the 1170s, the Fatimids in Egypt are falling apart, and you have Saladin, who kind of overthrows the Shia government there and installs a Sunni government. Like, if you taught the Muslims who are hardcore fans of Saladin, it's not just because of what he did to the Crusaders; it's what he did to the Shia Muslims too. In fact, to this day, it's Sunni in Egypt because of Saladin. So now that's in Egypt, and he controls Syria as well, or his allies at the time controlled Syria. And so he goes to war with the Crusaders in the 1170s, and he's largely unsuccessful. And I think it was 1183. Like he lost in 1177 to the Crusaders. King Baldwin IV, the Battle of Montgisart. He lost a huge battle against the Crusaders. Then the Crusaders have a peace treaty with them. They make around 1083, 1084. And then there's this guy, Renaud of Chatillon. He raids one of Saladin's caravans. The king of Jerusalem, at this time, Baldwin IV has passed away. The king is Guy of Lusignan.
Okay.
And this guy's not a good commander, unlike King Baldwin. But he tells Renaud to give his stuff back. He's like, go give that stuff back to Saladin. That's his stuff. And Renaud says, no, you have no power over me. He kind of declared his lands autonomous almost.
Okay.
And then he goes, and then Saladin goes to war with them because he couldn't get his stuff back. But he said he would not go to war with them if he would get his stuff back, and Guy tried to get his stuff back. So then he invades the kingdom of Jerusalem, and he has an army. And at this point, what they should have done is wait out the army, because his army would have disbanded eventually. But they decided to go to war with him in an area where they don't have a water source, so the army's dehydrated in July in the hottest region of the world.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so they lose the Battle of Hattin, which is in July of 1087. And so not only did they lose this battle, but after the battle, Saladin executes thousands of soldiers. He takes prisoners some, but he executes 1,000. And at this point, he goes and takes Acre. He starts taking all the land. Then in October, he finally takes Jerusalem. They've essentially lost everything except the city of Tyre. I'm curious, how much time do we have?
We got about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Tyre, he tries to take Tyre. He's unsuccessful because of a guy named Conrad of Montferrat. He saves the city in time. He gives supplies, and they throw Saladin's banner in the ditch.
Wow.
Yeah, and so then at this case, eventually news reaches Europe, and the Pope calls the Third Crusade. 4 Christian monarchs respond: William of Sicily, Frederick I, King Philip Augustus of France, and Richard the Lionheart. You have William of Sicily. He's not that far away. He goes and he dies of natural causes very quickly into the crusade, so he can't do much. And then those 3 other monarchs, they go down toward the Holy Land, and both King Richard and King Philip go by ship, and Frederick I goes over land. They have some trouble with this crazy guy in Cyprus. They end up taking Cyprus because of that. Then they go to the Holy Land, take the city of Acre. Unfortunately for Frederick I, most of his army is killed. He drowns in crossing a river going down to the Holy Land, and there's a pandemic where the rest of his army is killed. but they managed to get Acre, and I think I'll pause right here.
Yeah, we should be hitting the break in a moment. For people that are wondering, we are talking about all things Crusades related. Don't forget to get your questions in. We already have a few in the second half of the show. We're going to dig our hand into the mailbag. We've got a lot more to come, audience. We've got a phenomenal guest, Alan, who his knowledge in the Crusades is second to none. We got a lot more to come in the second half of the show. After the break, we'll be back in just a moment, audience. There we go. Man, you're rocking it, man. This stuff is built into it's already ingrained into your brain, isn't it, man?
Yeah, no, I absolutely love this stuff. And will you give me a chance at the end to plug my YouTube and Substack?
Of course, man. Absolutely. You can plug whatever you want in, man. Right towards the end. And then after we're off the air, we'll still be here in my channel for maybe about 5-10 minutes, and you can plug anything else you want. And if there are any other questions, I'll allow people to toss them out there. We'll see how many more questions we got. People are loving this, man. People are loving it.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to get to the Fourth Crusade. I'm gonna wrap up the Third Crusade.
Oh, look at that, Daniel. How about when we're off the air? Do you have at least 10 minutes extra when we're off the air? 10, 15 minutes? Do you have? Or do you have to rush out?
No, I'm good.
Daniel, would you like to come up? Daniel, I love my man, Dan. Daniel, would you like to come up and maybe go back and forth with Alan a little bit? Maybe after we're off the air. Daniel, let me know, man, and we'll make it fun, you guys. That'd be great,
yeah,
man.
Sure. Let's have a dialogue,
That'd be great, man.
Is that the same guy who talked about the Fourth Crusade?
Yes, that's him.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Absolutely. I love that, Daniel. See, man, Daniel, you're gonna make the show pop, man. I love you, man. Orthodox Philip says, looking forward to he's talking the Fourth Crusade. Guys, I wish I knew even 10% of what you know. It totally is not my area at all. I know a little bit about it, but that's why I defer to the man himself when it comes to this.
So, I mean, if you want, I could come for. I mean, I could do a whole show on the Fourth Crusade if you want.
Oh no, I know that. Yeah,
because I mean that's an episode that's very misunderstood.
Sure.
Yeah,
we can you can touch upon a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it today, but I can't give all the details.
Sure.
But for Philip, I wrote an article at 1 Peter 5. It's about three years ago, so you'll have to search in the archives. But it's 5,000 words. It's my favorite crusade to study. Third and fourth are my favorite. And fifth, I've studied the fifth too.
Okay, we're about to be back.
Here we go.
And we are back on the air. We're talking about all things Crusades related. And it is a very, very interesting topic. We got a great audience. You guys and people are phenomenal. If you have not yet gotten the Virgin most powerful radio app, do us a phenomenal favor. Snag that app. That way you can listen to hear everything on the go. We're very happy to be with all of y'all. We're back with our phenomenal guest, Alan Rule. Alan, you can pick up where you left off, man. This is phenomenal, brother.
Okay, so at this time, the Crusaders finally took Acre. It was a siege that lasted almost 2 years. The French had started it. The few Crusader troops back in the area had tried it, including the king, Guy of Lusignan, who's kind of in a succession struggle. Because Conrad, who I mentioned, is trying to take the title as king, which not too important, but regardless of which, Richard the Lionheart shows up and they take Acre in like almost instantaneously, because Richard was a military genius. And so then, okay, at this time, they got the Crusades. And as soon as they take Acre, King Philip II goes back to Europe. But he leaves the French troops there under the Duke of Burgundy. I think it's Hugh of Burgundy. Hugh III, I want to say. Still, whoever the Duke of Burgundy was, he leaves the troops there, and he goes back to Europe and starts stealing Richard the Lionheart's land.
Wow.
And so, yeah, because keep in mind, England owned half of France at this point.
Right.
Of modern day France. So Richard, he needs to get Jerusalem now, but he's got a big navy and he's heavily reliant on the navy. So he stays on the coast, and he's on the coast, and he's starting to head south because although his army is very elite soldiers, it's a smaller army. It's only about 10,000, whereas Saladin has about 25. His soldiers aren't as good, but he outnumbers them. So the quickest way to get to Jerusalem, where you're the least exposed, is to go down the coast. Then you don't have to be inland as much. So he goes down the coast, and he's attacked by Saladin, and he completely routs Saladin.
Wow.
This is called the Battle of Arsuf. He just completely obliterates Saladin's army. It's ugly. So then he goes down, but he doesn't take Jerusalem. He's too reliant on his navy, because again, it's a small army. It's easy to get encircled. That's what happened at the Battle of Hattin. I told you about in the last segment. They got encircled, and keep in mind they made a whole bunch of other mistakes though. And so the point is, Richard takes back all the coastal settlements in the Third Crusade, but he's unable to get Jerusalem back because he can't leave the coast, because his navy is what's keeping him. When he was attacked by Saladin at Arsuf, they weren't able to encircle him because he's on the coast. Now, okay. Now there's one more big battle, the Battle of Jaffa, where King Richard is seriously outnumbered, but he still defeats Saladin anyway. And and if you read Saladin's biographer, Ibn Shaddad, he says how much of a elite warrior Richard the Lionheart was. And so, long story short, it ends in a truce, a 3-year truce between Richard and Saladin. Richard has to go back to Europe to defend his lands against Philip II, and so he leaves. Unfortunately, he's kidnapped and he's thrown into jail, and then they had to ransom him in England. And Saladin, about 6 months later, he dies of old age, and then his kids start a faction war, and the empire is really weak at that point. So it's interesting what would have happened if he'd have stayed. So the truce, he goes back to Europe. I'm curious, how much time do we got in this segment?
You got a little bit of time. Let me see. We still have.
All right, I'll start on the Fourth Crusade.
Yeah,
sure.
You got some
I'll start
time.
on the Fourth Crusade. All right, so in 1198, we got a new pope, Pope Innocent III, and he calls the Fourth Crusade. Now, at this point, Richard the Lionheart is actually still alive, and he was expected to lead this crusade, but he's in a siege. He got injured. The surgeon screwed up. He got hit by an arrow. The surgeon screwed up, and it became gangrene, and that was the end of Richard. So then some crusaders at a tournament in Champagne start getting ideas of a crusade, and then they go down. They're trying to find a port, because if they're in central France, they don't have ships, right? So they need to hire a fleet. They go down to Venice, and they hire a fleet, and like a huge fleet, like that's a fleet that's supposed to take like 33,000. I think it's supposed to be 33,000. Yeah, 33,000 people and 4,000 horses. So like huge fleet.
Wow, that's
I mean,
enormous.
yeah, the Doge of Venice, who's like the king of Venice, he commissioned the fleet to like the whole city had to work on the fleet. That's how much it is. But and while this is going, they're sending out preachers to preach to Europe. Hey, come down to Venice. You can get the crusade in Holy Land. Their plan was actually to go to Egypt first,
Okay.
to take Egypt, but they kept that a secret. But they didn't end up getting to Egypt or the Holy Land for that matter. The point is, not a lot of people show up in Venice. Only about 10,000 people show up. That's only about a third of the. So people had to take out extra cash and give everything they got, but they only come up with about half the money. And so at this point, the Doge of Venice is like, okay, you owe me half the money, and it looks like no more people are going to come. You got to help me take this city that I'm fighting over with the king of Hungary, the city of Zara, which is the modern day city of Zadar in Croatia. So they take it, and the Pope is furious because not only is that a Christian city, but it belonged to the king of Hungary then, who was under a crusader vow himself. So not only have you attacked Christians, you've attacked fellow crusaders. So at this point, he suspends the indulgence, and the whole crusade is excommunicated. And so then the French, there's two parts, the French and the Venetians. The French send an envoy to the Pope and say, we're sorry, we had no other choice, blah, blah, blah. So he unexcommunicates the French part of the crusade only. The Venetians are still excommunicated for now. And so they've taken the city, and then they start communicating with this exiled Byzantine prince, Alexius IV. His uncle, Alexius III, there's a lot of Alexiuses in the story, so
I can tell. Right, yeah, go ahead.
His evil uncle, Alexius III, overthrew his father. And by the way, his father was Isaac II, the same guy who sided with Saladin during the Third Crusade. But that's another point. The point is that they threw Isaac II in the dungeon, but Alexius IV was able to escape out west. And he's trying to find some help, an army to go take Constantinople back, because he's the rightful heir, at least according to him. And so he runs into the Crusaders. He's like, hey, if you put me on the throne, I'll give you a ton of money that'll pay off all your debts. I'll join the crusade. I'll send a bunch of troops to help you take Jerusalem from the Muslims. And it sounds like a really good deal. So
sure.
And so they're like, oh, let's do this. A lot of them were kind of nervous, but at this point, it's a broke crusade. They have no other options. So they go to Constantinople, and then eventually, okay, the French are positioned outside the land walls. The Venetians, since their ships, they're in the Golden Horn, and they attack the city. And Alexius III is so paranoid, he's scared, he flees the city. So at that point, there's no leader. He's out there somewhere. So they allow Alexius IV to come in, and he's crowned as king. And he frees his father from prison. And they said, father, it's like, and so they kind of rule as co-emperors. And they're like, okay, the Crusaders helped us get our crown back. Now we owe them all this cash. And they're like, that's a lot of cash, but since they got us back on the throne, we'll honor this. So they pay them about half the cash, which is about 100,000, whatever currency they used at the time. So that's that saves them a ton of cash. But then he can't come up with the rest of the cash, and so the Crusaders are helping him secure the towns around Constantinople too, because keep in mind, a lot of the empire is still loyal to his uncle. And then eventually he starts to ignore the Crusaders. And so he starts to not like the Crusaders. But the people of Constantinople don't like the Crusaders either, and they don't like Alexius IV because he's the one who brought the Crusaders. And so eventually, during the night, sometime in January or February, there's and around this time, Isaac II, his old frail dad, had passed away. There's a coup in Constantinople where they overthrow Alexius IV, throw him in jail, and poison him, and replace him with another guy named Mortzophilus. That was his nickname. His real name's Alexius. I know there's a lot of Alexius.
I was going to say there are plenty of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's crowned as Alexius.
I hear the music.
Oh,
I hear the music. Audience, we have a lot more for you on the final part of the show when we come back from the break. But we'll also be digging our hand into the mailbag for any questions you all may have. We are very excited to continue. We'll be back on the other side of the break. There we go. Man, you're rocking it, man. Your wealth of knowledge, man. That's wild, man.
Yeah, no, I'm doing
great,
pretty
man.
well. I'm impressed with how well I'm doing.
Yeah, look at that, Freddie de Jesus. He's a hater, man. I don't know Latin, man. What a hater, man. Freddie de Jesus, you know Spanish too, right? I think he does. How you doing, brothers? Everybody tuning in. God bless you guys. Don't forget to smack that like button, guys. Thank you for your support. You guys are great, man. You guys are phenomenal, man. Hope you're having a good. It sure is, Francis. Hope you're there, my friend. How's your day going, brother? Hope you're going great. Thank you for being a member. Oh, sí, hablas español. Muy bien. I figured he did. We have plenty of bilingual family here, man. What languages do you know, Al? You know French, right? You got to know French.
Oui, c'est le deuxième langue dans ce pays.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Je suis allé à l'école Immersion pour les années ainsi.
Anybody in the audience, do you all know that? I don't know.
In fact, I knew the Our Father and the Hail Mary in French before I knew them in English.
Wow. Oh, man. There you go.
If you taught to me at about age 15, like I'm probably 100% equal at both languages.
Wow.
But since my adult professional life is all in English, like I still speak French, obviously.
Sure.
But like in school, like we had to do novel studies in French. Like all of my mathematics and social studies was all in French and stuff like that. But English is my main language, and I know Russian as well. I'm not fluent in Russian, but I know enough to get by. Like I was in
get out of here, man.
Like, for example, I was in Ukraine in 2018, and like I spoke Russian there, and I got around fairly well. I was able to get my hair cut and stuff and explain to them because I was in Western Ukraine. They don't like you speaking Russian, but I didn't speak Ukrainian.
Okay.
Yeah,
that would make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, but they know I'm a tourist, so they didn't make a big deal.
Sure.
So yeah, so I was. But the thing about Ukraine is that they don't speak English there. The only people that speak English in Ukraine are the tour guides and the hotel front desk.
Oh, wow.
Only people, including in tourist areas, they don't even speak English.
Wow.
You need to know Russian or Ukrainian or Russian, essentially.
Okay, we're coming back. Here we go. And we are back, and we are having a great time talking about the Crusades. We're digging our hand into the mailbag. We've been having such a wonderful time with the expert, my dear friend, Alan Rule. We're talking about the Crusades, and one particular question that did come up earlier, and I'm trying to find it. It's a great one by our near and dear friend, St. Francis Babytoe. He had asked, and I hope I'm not butchering this, did the Varangian Guard fight in the Crusades since they were in Byzantium? I'm not sure if you know what that means. I'm pretty sure you probably do, man, as you know all this stuff. What would your answer be to that?
Yeah, they were part of the defense of Constantinople in the in the Fourth Crusade, but unfortunately they weren't able to save the city from the Crusaders. I could take off at well, for those who don't know, the Varangian Guard were a group of soldiers in the Byzantine Empire. When I believe they come when Russia converts to Christianity in the late 900s. It's through contact with the Byzantine emperor, and they, as kind of like a token of the agreement, they pledged these soldiers. Now, the Varangian Guard were, although they're Slavs originally, they're eventually replaced by recruits. Like there's Greek, there's some English and French in there. They're a group of mercenaries, right? And they're loyal. Like if you pay them, they'll do what you say. Like there's some people that if you pay them to attack someone, and the person being attacked will be like, I'll pay you twice as much to go and stop. A lot of people will take it, but the Varangian Guard weren't. They were known for their loyalty. They were okay soldiers, right? And then so they were defending the city in the Fourth Crusade. Unfortunately, they couldn't stop the Crusaders. They're referred to as the axe wielders. If you read the Chronicles, because they have like huge axes, right? They didn't have swords, right? And so, at this point, getting back to the Fourth Crusade, Martzophilus is crowned as Alexius V, and the city has their champion. But what happens now is in April, I want to say April, I can't remember the exact day. Is it April 12th? Sometime in April. Alexius V tries to attack the Crusaders on land, and he is just obliterated. His force, he barely gets back into the city alive. And then not long after that, the Crusaders attacked the land walls, the French Crusaders. The Venetians in the Golden Horn attacked the seawall, and they managed to get to the seawall, to breach it. And they take a bunch of towers in the city, and at this point, Alexius V flees because he knows that they breach the walls. It's only a matter of time until the city falls. The Venetians take the city. They open the door. The French knights come in. And the casualties are actually very low. There's a few casualties, but they're actually very low. But the looting was immense, because keep in mind, the Byzantines owed them money. And they were going to pay themselves plus a little more. And by a little, I mean a lot more. They stole icons. They stole relics. Like, there's a reason why John Chrysostom's relics are in the Vatican.
Right.
He wasn't a pope, John Chrysostom. He was the Bishop of Constantinople. Why isn't he in Crusaders brought it back, right? And then you have people like and if you go to Venice today, remember, half the Crusaders are Venetian. If you go St. Mark's Cathedral there at the square in Venice, there's these bronze horses. In fact, you can type this into Google. They were taken from a church in Constantinople. There's a ton of this stuff. Shroud of Turin was taken too.
Wow.
And like a whole bunch of relics and icons and a lot of money were taken. And there are some lies that come from people who don't know anything. They say, to mock the Orthodox Christians, the Crusaders put a prostitute on the patriarchal throne. That's not true. If you read the Chronicle, a prostitute went and sat on the throne. It doesn't say the Crusaders put her there. That's a myth.
Okay, so that's a complete lie then.
Yeah, like there was a prostitute who sat there, but
but they didn't put her there. They didn't sit her there.
They didn't put her there. You know, she just did that amid the looting, and they managed to take a bunch of stuff. And long story short, they occupied the city until 1261. Some interesting stuff happens. Remember, you have two emperors at this time who have fled and are wandering around. They eventually get together, Alexius III and Alexius V. And they're like, let's form an alliance to get Constantinople back. And so they form an alliance. But Alexius III betrays Alexius V and has him blinded. So he's wandering the countryside blind. And then he's picked up by a patrol of crusaders, taken back to Constantinople. They take him to a pillar, and they throw him off the pillar and kill him.
Wow.
And that pillar, according to one source, used to belong to a stylite. Those saints who would go on the pillars for like 30 years. It used to belong to one of them, but then at that point, the stylite wasn't there anymore. So they throw him off and kill him. Then there's Alexius III. He lasted for a while longer. He doesn't die till like, I think 1217 or something, but he can't get any potency to get it back. So then at this point, you have a bunch of states. It's not like all of they're all against the Latin occupation of Constantinople, but they're not all aligned because they're also fighting with each other. You have a group in Nicaea who set up shop there, a group in Trebizond, and then you have the Despotate of Epirus. And then eventually Nicaea, like you have these battles, like in 1257, the Battle of Pelagonia, which has one group consolidate power. And in 1261, the Crusaders left the door open, and a small troop of Greek soldiers from Nicaea comes in and takes the city. And that's the end of that. But and unfortunately, it was always a weak empire. But according to the 15th century, now a lot of people will say that, because the empire was so weak, it just left the door open and it was easy pickings for the Turks a couple hundred years later. No, if you read Critobulus, which is a Greek biographer in the 15th century of the Turkish Sultan, Mehmed the Conqueror, he said that's not true at all. He said it retained its former glory. And it's true. If you take a look at the map in like 1300, they still own about a third of Anatolia. They still own a bunch of land in Greece.
Wow.
They
I
don't
didn't know
have
that.
Trebizond anymore. Yeah, no, and things only start getting bad for them when in the early 1300s, when they hire a group of Spanish mercenaries, the Grand Catalan Company, but and they're not the greatest mercenaries. They end up doing a lot of damage to the empire. And actually, there's actually a very good primary source on their expedition. You can buy on Amazon. It's not too expensive, but yeah. So it's not start to get weak. In fact, in the 1330s, in the 1330s, the Byzantine Empire, they lose their last holdings in Anatolia, in the province of Bithynia, which is Nicaea and Nicomedia. And
Nicaea and Nicomedia. Okay.
Yeah, so important cities. I think they might have a speck here, a speck there. The city of Philadelphia, maybe. But the point is, at that point, they're completely out of Anatolia. But they still last 110 more years at that point. Now, sorry, we're getting off topic.
I do want to pump the brakes a little bit. We're going to have to leave it at that there. And the only reason is we'll definitely have you back to cover a lot more, but we got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And I want to give you the final minute and a half, 2 minutes to plug in. Where can people find the brainiac that is Alan Rule, and anything you might want to put a plug in for, my friend? I'd love to give you this final minute and a half, 2 minutes to do so.
Sure. My name's Alan Rule, Allan, last name Ruhl. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on X. You can find me on Substack. I'm doing a lot on Substack lately, including a lot of stuff surrounding the schism in 1054. I love medieval history. I like other kinds of history too, but I focus mainly on the medieval stuff. And right now I'm doing a lot of stuff on the schism with the primary sources. And so go check me up on Substack. You can become a free subscriber. If you're feeling very generous, you can be a paid subscriber. But yeah, no, I got a lot of stuff there, including an interview I just did yesterday with the elite historian Charles Coulomb. So go check that stuff out.
Very, very cool. You got a lot of great stuff you're working on. And man, are you a wealth of knowledge. This was a phenomenal show. Just so much fun. A ton of information. And indeed, there's just impossible to do complete justice to a massive topic like the Crusades in an hour. But we promise that we'll bring you back again, Brother Alan, and for the audience. If you loved it, then let us know. And don't forget to get the Virgin Most Powerful Radio app. We'll be back again on the air in 2 days on Friday morning, same time, 11 a.m. Central Time. And depending on where you're tuning in, of course, if you're maybe morning, evening, afternoon, thank you for being here with us. We love all of you all dearly. And of course, we've got a jam-packed schedule the rest of the day today. You're going to want to tune in, and you're going to want to get your hands on the Virgin Most Powerful Radio app so you can hear and tune in to everything that is on the air. Audience, we will be back with you again soon. God bless all of you all. All right, audience, we're off the air, but I keep my promises. I have pinned the link. We'll continue. And man, we lost a lot of people when we said we were closing it, but we're still here on Patristic Pillars. We're here with you guys and gals. We'll continue at least another 15 minutes. If you all want to come up, if you all have any questions, send your questions in, guys. Send them in. But remember, you got to let us know. If you come back here to dialogue with Alan, right-hand side, what is their faith? What is their question? The brother Daniel had to run off, which is a bit of a bummer, but he got a great question. Argument, Hispanic people did not convert. Oh, he's right here. Daniel, how you doing, brother? I'm glad you're able to make it up, buddy.
Hey, I might need to jump off just in case.
No worries, brother.
But
no
this was
worries
fantastic, Alan. Thank you for this.
Brother
Thank
Daniel,
you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, my friend. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, but I don't agree with it, if that
Sure.
makes sense. Right?
It does. It does, no doubt. Yeah, go ahead. And whatever you have on your mind, go ahead. You can ask Alan.
So, Alan, I'm gonna dump all the arguments and then let you answer it while I'm offline. Okay. The only time in the Bible Peter used a sword was to strike a guard, and then Jesus had to undo what Peter did. Right. That's one thing I wanted to point out. Right. So Peter struck a guard. Jesus had to undo what the damage that Peter does. And that's kind of the same way I look at the Crusades when it comes to swords. Now, I don't want to use only the Bible. I want to use actual saints. So if you look at when the Spaniards conquered the Hispanic world, they killed 10, 15 million. They forced Catholicism down their throats. It didn't work out well. Guadalupe came and did most of the heavy lifting to them. And that's what made them convert. If you look at Saint Charbel in Lebanon, when the monks were convincing him to fight the fight and to defend the monastery, he told them, don't worry about anything. Nothing will happen to this monk, for this country is protected. When the Turkish invaded Lebanon, 50% of the population died. They were cutting down Christians, and they relied on divine protection. So all other religions, like if you look at Islam, when they started, it was conquest, it was war. The more conquest you have, the better you are as an emperor. But in Christianity, no swords were fought, even if someone is suffering is part of our faith. So we acknowledge the suffering. We love the suffering, and in the same way, I wanted to use this argument is if if a Muslim had a button to press it and force Islam all over the world, they would. If a Catholic had the same button, we would not press it. We want people to be convinced rather than put it. And I can put Saint Augustine, who said peace. You can argue for war on defense versus war on offense. But at the same time, what stops you from justifying a war against Orthodox? What stops you for justifying war against any other sect, if that makes sense, right?
Great
that's
question,
all I
brother.
think.
Thank you for that. Go ahead,
Okay,
Al.
is that all, Daniel?
Yes, and I'm sorry to dump it all, but
Don't worry, I wrote them down.
okay.
Okay, I'm gonna start. You talked about the guard. Yeah, but what Jesus was doing there was to fulfill a prophecy, right? To fulfill his crucifixion. In fact, if you look at the Gospel of Luke, chapter 14, verses 31 through 32, 33, it's the verse that is used for the just war theory. It says, or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation, blah, 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 blah. If all war was bad, this parable makes no sense. So obviously some war is valid. Okay, next, the colonization of the Americas. You're saying they killed 15 million people. I would like to see a source on that. Forced conversion. I want to see a source on that too, because I've read Las Casas. He doesn't approve of. There's no forced conversion going on in that. It's the conquistadors attacking the people of the Americas. There's no forced conversion going on. I would like to see. There's a lot of primary sources about the colonization of the Americas in the 14 and 1500s. I would like to see a primary source on the forced conversion. Yes, Our Lady of Guadalupe helped a lot, but that's because the people hadn't converted. And by the way, if they were forced converted, why would you need Our Lady of Guadalupe? Because everyone is forced converted already. Okay, Saint Charbel. I unfortunately I'm not an expert on Saint Charbel, but I'll say one thing for sure: Francis of Assisi was a saint, and he was a chaplain on the Fifth Crusade. So it's not like, the Crusades were also preached by Bernard of Clairvaux, who was a saint. I don't know the context of what was going on. I'm not an expert on Lebanese history, especially around that time. So I apologize for that. And if you said if the Muslims could press a button to convert everyone, they would. What I would press the button for is to send out Franciscans or Jesuits to convert the people of the Americas, and that's what was happening. That's what Junipero Serra was. He was a Franciscan, and he went to convert. And by the way, in the days of Junipero Serra, there were even there was a huge tribe in Mexico that hadn't converted. And if they were converting by force, why wasn't this tribe converted? And this tribe was not like a warrior tribe. They were just kind of a tribe that kept to themselves, but they weren't able to convert them. So they sent Junipero Serra, who was able to convert about half of them. But the point is, if conversion was done by the sword, that makes no sense. That, again, find me the evidence of forced conversion in the Americas. Just war, yes. I read from Luke chapter 14, verses 31 through 32, which is the pretext for just war. I believe that's what Saint Augustine uses, although William would know better than I would.
Augustine does, yeah.
You have a follow-up to that, Daniel?
Yeah, so Alan, let's take if there's a Muslim country, let's say that wants to attack Christianity, would you justify right now putting a Christian army and going and conquering that country? That's as a step. That's the one way, and force and not forcing Christian and talk to them about Christianity. Or the second way send the saint and let him do the heavy lifting?
Well, first of all, if there's a war between a Christian and a Muslim country, there's probably a bunch of politics involved too. Like there are very few wars that are purely religious. And so, but say a Christian army conquers a Muslim country. I don't believe in forced conversion, but what I do believe is to send a bunch of missionaries to the people to try to convert them. That's what they did in Sicily when they took it over from Sicily. What they did, now they kind of did what the Muslims did, not forced conversion, but they charged them a tax, and eventually a lot of them, they don't want to pay the tax. So about half of in fact, I think there's an Arab revolt in 1140 in Sicily. I'm trying to get my years right. It's been a while since I've read that. But the interesting thing about this is at this time, half the Arabs had become Catholic. It was more of a nationalistic thing. So I mean, not every war with the Muslims is purely because of religion. I'm against forced conversion. There are very few episodes in Christian history where forced conversion happens. It does happen on occasion. Apparently in Sicily, sometimes they would force sheikhs to convert. That's according to Ibn Jubair, who was an Islamic chronicler. And in the Orkney Islands, some of them were converted by force by the King of Norway, not on the church's orders. The church condemns forced conversion. Occasionally it's happened. Occasionally. But it's not the norm, and it's not what the church preaches. If a Christian conquers an Islamic land, we build churches, we preach to the people. We may even charge the Muslims a tax, but we don't force convert them. And the church, you claim that there's some episodes of forced conversion. I would like to see that. So some primary sources on that. Yeah, is that all?
Yeah, Alan, one final question. What's to stop you from justifying a war on Orthodoxy or on Protestants because they don't agree with you, for example? So why stop there?
Well, I wouldn't go to, like, again, there's a lack of context there. There's been wars, Catholic countries and Protestant countries, Catholic countries and Orthodox countries. Right now with Ukraine and Russia, there's Orthodox versus Orthodox, right? These wars happen usually for political reasons. But if the Catholic country wins the war, they will use that as an opportunity to build churches and preach to the Protestants or Orthodox to bring them home.
Yes. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, William.
Daniel,
Thank
you very much, brother. Thank you for watching the whole thing. And even if you may not have totally agreed, thank you for giving your feedback, brother. We love it. I think he had to go. I think he had I think he has a Greek class right now that he is taking. Thank you. I'm glad he was able to tune in. Anybody? Go ahead, brother. Oh, yeah, he's Catholic. Oh, yeah, he's great. He's great. In fact, he is, I think I can say this publicly. He's pursuing the diaconate. He has said it publicly. No, Daniel's great. He's great. Yeah. Right. Guys, yeah, hit the like stream, guys. And if you have any questions, guys, we'll continue for another 5 minutes or so. Or if we get another person back here, we'll go 10 minutes, depending on how much feedback. Or we get another question from you guys. I want to give a shout out to James. James, thank you for the support, brother. You guys are incredible. We greatly appreciate your support. He says, by the way, working on the resource for the prayer streams. We're going to be doing prayer streams here, guys. Get some icons, I will, of the different mysteries to show to help for the Rosary prayer streams. James, that's a phenomenal idea, brother. Thank you for your support. We do have other people back here, but guys, remember, people just don't pay attention. What is their faith and what is their question? I've brought people up before. They end up being trolls. They end up doing all kinds of trollish things. So for people that we have back here, on the right-hand side, what is your faith? What is your question? Otherwise, I'm not going to bring you up. I don't know the link to that. That'd be great. Alan, do you by any chance have the link to your Substack?
Yeah. Let me just
You
put
should
it
be a
in here.
moderator on my channel so you can share it.
Can I send it in the private chat?
You sure can.
And then
Yeah.
you can place it in the
Oh,
main
yeah.
chat?
Of course. I got it right here. Let's do that. Let's do it. Where is it? Where is it?
I've in fact, it's a paid post, so you have to be a paid subscriber to see this. I have the top 10 primary sources I use for my research of the medieval period.
Oh,
Because
awesome.
top 10. It's paid though. You have to pay to get that. But no, there's a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff on the Substack. I'm writing a post now. It should be out today. If not, it'll be out tomorrow. It's the first of a several part one. It's about 1054. Was 1054 a big deal, shall we say? And
you have that. That'll be coming out today. We got to do a whole show on that in the future, man. That'd be enormous. I got to bring it back on. Yeah.
Well, there's actually a lot more to the 11th century than 1054.
Right.
And
of course.
I'll tease this out a bit. In the year 1000, the center of the Christian world was Constantinople. Constantinople was the center of the Christian. Now, that's not where the top authority was. That was in Rome, obviously. But it's kind of like what's the most Catholic country in the world today? It might be Brazil. It might be Poland, the Philippines. It's not Italy, although the Pope is in Italy. But the center of mass of the Catholic world is not in Rome, even though the authority is there. By the time you get to the year 1100, the center of the Christian world is no longer Constantinople. It's in Western Europe there.
Right, right.
Particularly around the Holy Roman Empire and and Rome. And you have the states, powerful, the monarchies, England, France, who are both Catholic. And at that time, the center of mass had moved to Europe. Now, you still have a state headquartered in Constantinople for several hundred more years, but it's not the center of the Christian world now. Like, what's the center of the Christian world now? Like, what's the most Christian city in the world? It's not Rome. Rome is a Christian city. It's important.
Sure.
But it's not. Like, if you go to say Poland or Brazil or somewhere else in South America, it's probably a lot more Catholic than Rome is.
Man, don't fill Razarm's head, man. That guy's his head's going to get even more inflated now.
Yeah, I can see there's a few. Okay, there's a question here. Do
we have
one?
Out there
some Alan's book for recommend? You can put that on the screen. It's by
there. It is. Devor, how you doing, Devor? Lord bless you, Devor. Thank you for the question. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Yeah. What I would start with is Fulcher of Chartres. That's that's Fulcher of Chartres in France. And you can go buy it. It's about $30 or $40 Canadian, and translate that into American dollars. And it's it's about it's about the First Crusade, and it chronicles everything. And not only it's not like it stops in 1099. Yay, we got Jerusalem. Sure. Yay, we routed the Muslims at Ascalon. It goes till 1127. So it's got the first 30 years of the Crusader states there. So it's got all the wars they get into and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got the Poles all riled up here. Poland. I've only ever been to Poland one day in my life. I was in Ukraine, and we crossed the border. We spent a day in a city called Przemyśl, and it was like the most Catholic city I've ever seen. It's
man, you're gonna get Razarm's head. The guy's gonna float into the sky, man, in a moment, man.
I'm sorry, I'm just telling you what I saw.
No, we love our Polish friends.
Yeah, so
we love our Polish brothers and sisters, man. If only every other place around the world were like that, man.
Soon, inshallah.
By the grace of the Lord, yeah, no doubt. That's what we truly do hope. I want to give a shout out to Dun 64. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I saw a thing that Catholicism is growing not only in raw numbers, but as a percentage of the global population. it's
Praise
even,
God.
believe it or not, it's even growing in Europe, believe it or not. You think Europe's it's dying. It's actually slowly growing back.
No, it is. It is, and I know that because I go to Europe every year, and even though it may sound a little bit wild, even in England, it's, slowly building up. Let's hope that momentum keeps up.
Well, I've heard that in England, I've heard that in the younger generation, there are more Catholics than Anglicans. Now, I think that has a
Very
lot
well
to do.
could be. That could be.
I think that amongst Gen Z. Now, I think that has to do a lot with immigration from like France or Poland or the Philippines or Catholic parts of Africa. But there are conversions as well. And right now, the Church of England is in a very unfortunate place. They just elected a female archbishop. I mean, I've got Anglican.
A little bit of an unfortunate place. A little bit. Oh, I know that.
Yeah, that's a bit of an understatement. But like, I feel bad for them because I mean, at one time, like if you go back to the 19th century, the Anglicans were a strong force against the Catholics. Like they produced some of the best stuff that forces us to research and do research. So yeah, like there's some Anglican YouTubers out there, like the other Paul, and like he's trying. Oh man, that's painful to look at.
I don't care who their best apologists are. There's no way you're getting out of this bind. There's no way you're getting out of this, man. I don't care.
Well, the mainline Protestants, the mainline ones, like the Anglicans, the Lutherans, the Presbyterians, like have all gone wacko liberal, so they keep doing these break-off sects and like the continuing movements, and that's like so they can retain some authentic Anglicanism or Lutheranism without the wacko liberalism. But I mean, I don't know how long they're going to be able to do that. Like I was talking to a friend of mine who's a Reformed Baptist. I asked him what he thought about what's that guy Redeem Zoomer and his Reconquista, and he said it was hold on, I'm trying to find the quote here. Oh man, where is it? Basically, he said it was doomed to fail.
Right.
And it is. I mean, I don't see any success with the Reconquista. And first of all, that's appropriating our word. That's a Catholic word.
100%. There's no doubt about that.
We reconquisted the Spain from the Muslims in a just war, I might add.
Sure.
Yeah, and
I want to give a shout out to Dunstep Sport. Thank you for your support, brother. You rock, my friend. And I want to shout out our incredible brother, Michael, who has a great question, and this is definitely up your alley. How did debt to Venice derail the Fourth Crusade? What do you answer that?
Well, because the Crusaders didn't have any cash, and the only way they owed half the money to Venice,
so they were broke.
Yeah, they were broke, and then so the Doge of Venice is kind of like, okay, you guys can't come up with the money. You guys got to help me out. We're going to take the city of Zara now, and that's the beginning of the end of the crusade. But it's the beginning of a long and ugly end. Because again, they start talking with the prince who's in exile. His wicked uncle's on the throne. It's always a wicked uncle,
Right, you're right.
Yeah, so
it's always a wicked uncle. James, thank you for your support, brother. You guys are great.
There's one thing. Remember how I said that they lifted the excommunication against the French, but not the Venetians? They would lift the Venetian excommunication in 1205.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Pope wasn't thrilled with the sack of Constantinople, but he's like, well, let's make the best out of a bad situation, Gotcha.
I want to give a shout out to James. James, thank you for your support. And all of you guys, We are able to do what we do because of your support. I do want to thank all of you all. I don't ever forget that. James says that is that is no bishop. Yeah, we know that. She holds no authority. We know that. We know that, James. We
Hey, guys, I just want to say something about this female Anglican,
Yeah.
I mean, fake bishop, obviously,
Yep.
that at one time, she was a young girl who loved Christ. And some
Sure.
evil people told her that she could honor Christ by becoming a quote unquote priest. I don't think she'd ever thought she'd become a bishop, but they
Yeah.
told her that she could do this to honor Christ. So, I mean,
They lied to
as
her. They put
much
it in her
as,
head.
yeah, they lied to her. So, as much as abominable as this is, we need to talk to the men who told her,
Or
that.
the men and women. Both.
Yeah. Well, at one
put
point
in
it
her
was all
head?
men. You go back far enough, it's all men. But
No,
then
yeah, I
she
know,
was
but I
female
mean,
deacon.
influenced in
The
her
female.
life is what I mean. In her family,
Yeah.
whoever told her.
Oh, okay. I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I got
that's what I meant, and it's just, it is lamentable. I've seen the best responses that can come from. I feel for my Anglican friends, I really do, but that's why I tell them, come home, come home. Your arguments for Anglicanism were not good before this happened, and they weren't good before it happened, and they're not good now. Come home, embrace
Well,
transubstantiation,
believe it or
stop
not,
fighting the papacy.
we're on the topic of Anglican polemics. I
Yeah.
actually just finished reading the Apology for the Church of England by John Jewell.
Oh, you
And,
did? Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, believe it or not, it starts out very sophisticated, but then it just devolves into an angry rant. And I don't think
Gotcha.
it has the greatest art. And the edition that I have, there are no sources for anything. Some editions might have sources, but like they're quoting from Ambrose and stuff. I've never seen those quotes before. Maybe
I have
but
found
mine
that a lot of the
no.
times when they think that they're, and I could be wrong in this case, I would have to source it. A lot of the times when they try to quote Ambrose, they're actually quoting Ambrose the Aster. And there's a big problem there because
Oh,
Ambrose the Aster is
yeah.
a pseudonymous author. It's not St. Ambrose. And the other issue is that Ambrose the Aster is not an early church father. As far as we know, we don't even know if that one figure, Ambrose the Aster, if all of the fragments we have of him is one single figure or multiple figures, right? Who people thought were Ambrose. That was the issue with Luther, when Luther was trying to promote sola fide, when he was trying to promote his sola fidean theology. One early father he tried to marshal was Ambrose, and it was actually Ambrose the Aster, and that's why St. Robert Bellarmine called him out on that. It wasn't even the real Ambrose. He was using fake Ambrose. So that seems to be the case with a lot of our Protestant friends. They continue doing that very same thing.
Yeah. No, like yeah, no, it's, and I mean, it's kind of interesting. You take a look at England,
Yeah.
how it had to be won, and think they had the king and all the aristocracy promoting Anglicanism
Sure.
against like a people who were fairly loyal Catholics,
Right.
and the Catholics almost won in England despite all of that advantage. We
Right.
almost won. Like that's how devoted the Catholics were. Like they had to spill a lot of blood to turn it to an Anglican country.
Sure.
It's not like, and what Anglicans tend to do is they'll take a look before 1530 and they'll see in the 1200s you'll have King John fighting with the Pope. But if you take a look what King John was fighting over, it was like it's hard not to side with the Pope.
Sure.
Like the kings of England were always very loyal to the Pope. Like take a look at King Alfred. Like back in the day, you can read Asher's biography, available at Penguin. You can find it online with a quick Google search as well.
Right.
And they were always loyal to the popes. Like it, we could do a whole show on the. In fact, if you go on my Substack, I got a 3-part piece about the. Was England Eastern Orthodox until 1066 when William the Conqueror's papist army came out and over. That is so stupid. I know all the
That's
time.
just wild. It's just I've heard that. That's a terrible argument.
Yeah.
This is bad.
No.
It's really, really
Yeah,
bad.
in
It
the
really is.
7th century, in England, they produced a creed that had the filioque in it, and it's clearly not an economic filioque. It's a hypostatic filioque.
Of course, hypostatic. There's no doubt about it.
It uses the same word for the procession from the Father and the Son.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's clearly hypostatic. It's not.
And I got to say, this is one area where we are hand in hand united with our Orthodox friends, where we reject this wild liberalism here. And James, thank you for your support, brother. The Lord bless you. He says, restore the Catholic See of Canterbury. The see has been set of the Conte since Elizabeth I's reign. Anathema to Elizabeth I. We'd love to see the sea restored. It's disappointing, lamentable to me. I've got a friend, a near and dear friend, whom we pray that everything goes well with him. He's pursuing the diaconate, and he is actually a convert from Anglicanism to Catholicism. And you stop and you look at that, the great See of Canterbury, all those that have held the office throughout the years, and it is a lamentable thing seeing what has happened. It is, and I don't post this to dunk on my Anglican friends. I think a lot of them really are concerned. They're concerned and bothered, and there's no coming. I'm going to be honest, Alan. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no coming back from this. How do you come back from it?
Well, a story. The See of Canterbury has been vacant, like from an Anglican point of view.
Yeah,
about a year prior to that, around
sure, from January. certain Anglican points of view.
So I sent a TM to my Anglican friend, Father James. You probably.
Oh yeah, I've hosted him here. He's a friend of mine too. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I've hosted him here. I had him on here for a debate against Jonathan Prejean a couple of years back. Very gracious guy. A complete gentleman. I may disagree with him strongly, and I've had a little run-ins with him in the past, but I would consider him a friend. I've had him on my channel. I'd have him on again, and he's a charitable guy. And I'll say on the air, I like him.
And so I talked to him. I sent him a DM on X back in the summer. I'm like, why is Canterbury taking so long to elect their archbishop? And he's like, I don't know, something weird is going on. And I knew something wasn't right. I couldn't put I didn't know what they were going to do, but I knew something wasn't right. And then boom, this happens. Yeah. So I was right. I didn't know exactly what they were doing.
Which is terrible. It really is.
Yeah. No. I mean, if you're a young kid in England now and who's interested in Christ, like the odds are the closest church to you is probably an Anglican church.
Yeah.
And you're going to go there. You're going to find female clergy and stuff. That's just going to, I don't know. I think sadly this whole female clergy thing is going to promote atheism above anything else. Like, there'll be a few converts to Catholicism, but nothing. Very few good things will come back from this. Like
I don't see much good coming out of this at all. I can see this being this is pretty bad.
And I'm going to say this. I don't have my Bible here, but I've got my rosary here, and I will swear that I have no Schadenfreude of this. I honestly don't.
Right.
I'm very sad because of this. Like this breaks my heart that an institution that, yes, it left the Catholic Church, but for a while it was a noble opponent of the Catholic Church, and they would produce, you have guys like Archbishop Usher and stuff like that producing some interesting scholarship and polemics, and you got UC and stuff like that. But in the second half of the 20th century, they just took a mad liberal bend.
Yeah.
And now, and now it's essentially the I don't know. It's a clown show now, sadly, and it breaks my heart because in England, I've not ever been to England. I've transferred flights in Heathrow. That's the most I've ever been to England.
I've been there multiple times, many times.
Yeah, just you see all these cathedrals that were pre-Reformation, obviously, but they I don't know. It just they.
Well, you're
turned
going to
out
find in England the majority, and I don't want people to come at me and say, "Well, this is an exception." The majority in England and the majority in Germany, man, compared to the USA, we have some really nice churches over here. I would argue that some of the most beautiful churches that I have seen in their particular style we can find in Mexico. They're beautiful, but in Europe, there are some of the most gorgeous churches that you're going to find anywhere in the world. But the massive majority of the cases, those churches are dead churches. And by dead, I mean they may be building up slowly. But I've been to all parts of Europe, and England, Germany, many parts, and you go to mass, Sundays, and there is just so much room in that church. Those churches don't get packed; they rarely ever get jam packed, and I mean even on holiday times, feast days, they're just dead, which is a sad thing to see, because Sunday morning I need to get to my local parish here in Texas with plenty of time early, or I'm going to be standing for the whole mass. That is not a problem in England. You can show up late, and there's plenty of seating room there, because the faith in Christianity in general has been pulverized and pummeled in England. It is, even though it's coming to life a little bit more. I would say by all estimations, you got somebody on a breathing tank. He's still alive. He's on that breathing tank, and he's getting up and he's walking around a little bit more and more, but he's on a breathing tank, and it still doesn't look good. And this is a case, it hurts my heart to say, for Germany as well. Some of the most beautiful churches, I give you an example, in Ondex, Germany, one of the most beautiful churches anywhere in Europe, the home of a Eucharistic miracle. And I remember being there, going there for mass, and over half the church was empty. This was just a couple of years ago. So something's got to be done, because liberalism kills Christianity.
Like I think you know better than I would, but I think the German synodal path is supposed to move to their next phase sometime this year.
Why are you bringing that up, man? Don't be a hater.
Well,
man, Alan with a.
The only thing I hate is the synodal path. That's what I hate.
Right. Yeah. It's, I don't. Germany's got their problems. I admit that, and it's lamentable. It is. James, thank you for your support. Yeah, James, great point there. The brother, and by the way, he's a good friend of mine. We speak on pretty much almost every day. Dr. Stephen Boyce. I'm sure you know who he is. Convert from Anglicanism to Catholicism. I did not know that. I have not seen those shows, and if Stephen hears that, he's probably going to be upset. He did shows on Henry VIII and Mary I and Elizabeth I and their relations with Rome. They are amazing. You know what I'm going to do for you, James? I'm going to take a picture and show Stephen, because, by the way, he is my debating partner. We're going to be debating together. He's a good friend of mine. Great guy, on fire for the Catholic faith, and a convert from Anglicanism.
So can you put that quote by Orthodox Philip on the
yeah, let me see if I can find it. Orthodox Philip, brother. Where is it? Let me see.
In Germany and Spain, right? He talks about Germany and
I got it. I got you. There we go. Okay,
brother. In Germany and Spain, I saw beautiful churches, but they were treated more like museums. The only place where Christianity has any potency in Europe is essentially the Catholic parts of Eastern Europe. That's where, and not even all there, like Poland, Slovakia, Western Ukraine, Croatia, Slovenia's okay, but even in those countries, it's only like 20 to 40% church attendance, depending on the country. It's still a minority. Like if you go to Spain and Germany, like he said, it's empty. You go to Italy, it's empty. You go to England, France, Scandinavia, it's all empty. The Belgium and the Netherlands, empty. Portugal, I've heard Portugal is a tiny bit more, but still relatively empty. Oh man, that picture is hideous.
Blame it on Sturridge, man. Blame it on the brother Sturridge, man. He made me put the image back up, man. Blame it on him, man. I don't know, man. Yeah, I feel for our friends. I really do. It's a lamentable, sad situation. It really is disappointing. Look at that, people. We never know who's actually tuning in, because the majority of people that tune in don't ever even say anything. They're lurking in the shadows. I had no idea. Recent.
Well, is it okay if I ask the brother from Slovakia something?
Yeah, go for it, brother. Let's go. How about we continue? How about we continue another 10 minutes? Hard stop in 10 minutes. How's that?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I see the stats of Slovakia, of the Catholics in Slovakia, and it's fairly good compared to the surrounding countries. But why is Czech Republic, or Czechia as it's sometimes called, why are their numbers in the absolute trash? Like in Slovakia, they're pretty good numbers by European standards, but you go to Czechia and the numbers there are in the trash.
Wow.
I don't know. Perhaps our friend can answer that, but it's weird. Like the stats come in now. I've only got stats. I've actually not been to Czech, Slovak, or Hungary, but I've been to Ukraine. I've been to Poland. I've been to Croatia, Serbia, like all those countries. Yeah, no, like the Catholic parts of Eastern Europe are all right. That's the most religious part of Europe. In terms of Eastern Orthodox, I've heard Romania is not bad, but like if you go to Ukraine or Russia, or Serbia, it's completely dead there, or as close as dead as you can get.
Sure.
But in Romania, there's still people that attend church. So, like on a fairly regular basis. And oh man, we keep having to show that lady. That's just hideous.
Oh man, well, she'll be taken off in about. We'll be done in 9 minutes. Audience, if you have any final questions, or you want to come back here, if you got any final questions, or you guys want to come back here and ask something, we'll continue for another 9 minutes. Not educated in that topic, but sad to see the majority atheist country with such beautiful churches. Yeah.
I've got something from Orthodox Philip. He said, "Pray for Ukraine and Russia," and like I've got some Ukrainian background and some Russian background in my ancestry. I'm of Volga German. Perhaps you're familiar with the Volga Germans. We lived in because of Catherine the Great. We lived in the colony in Saratov for about 200 years, until Stalin ethnically cleansed us during World War II. Yeah, no, it's sad because
very
I've not ever been to Russia. I've been to Ukraine. My parents have been to Russia. They've been to Saratov. And Ukraine and Russia are both brothers. That's why this war is so sad. They're brothers. Yeah, the brothers don't always agree, right? But there's no reason they can't live in peace. And although I'm not a fan of NATO, I think Putin's invasion is wrong. Ukraine didn't attack or threaten to attack Russia. And there's a lot of other countries that are a part of NATO on Russia's border, like Estonia or Finland, or I think Norway as well, because they connect at the top, and a couple others. So I mean, yeah, it's a wrong war. Pray for peace. And no, there's going to be no winner in this war. It's just draining the resources, both the natural resources and the manpower. Like in my city, there are a ton of Ukrainians. They're like that came over here in the last couple of years. There's a ton of them. They're everywhere. You go to a restaurant and like you see these blonde-haired, blue-eyed ladies that have Slavic accents. I'm like, so what city in Ukraine are you from? I just ask them that, because I know where they're from. Yeah, no, it's so sad, this war, and I think
we definitely lamented, and we definitely
correct. Pray
I agree.
Ukraine and Russia and the peace, because there's no winner in this war. And the vast, I mean, from an Orthodox perspective, which I assume he is, his name's Orthodox Philip.
Yeah,
the vast amount of people dying in this are Orthodox. You might have a couple uniats on the Ukrainian side, but it's Orthodox killing Orthodox in a land that, yes, it used to be all Russia, but the borders change, right? And so I think that Putin's invasion has cost millions of lives. The faithful of Ukraine, both Catholic and Orthodox, have condemned it. Yes, I agree. Yes, I stand with Orthodox Philip. Before 100%. You go to bed, say an Our Father and an Hail Mary for the
Amen.
Peace in Ukraine and Russia. And may the brothers who don't always get along, but let them get along in peace.
Yeah, Orthodox Philip
All
is
right.
great. We always get along with him. He's great.
Okay, wonderful.
So we got another
Yay,
5
that's
minutes,
a-
guys, and we're gonna close the doors. Yes, I had to do that. James told me. James reminded me. You gotta purify it, man. Bring up the Archbishop of Westminster. All right, guys. We got 5 minutes, and we're gonna stop at in 5 minutes. So, if you have any final questions or any final comments, and if not, we'll close the doors to this show and give us feedback. Did you enjoy it, guys? Did you enjoy it? And I want to give a shout out. I don't think he tuned into the show, but Joe Sanchez became a member. Guys, for any of you all who are members, I got some new icons that we're working on. I can't say what they are, but they're going to be incredible. They're going to be great. We're working on some new icons. Thank you, all of those that are members. Those that you got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Thank you for becoming a member. Go ahead, brother.
One more thing I want to say to your audience. If you subscribe to me on Substack, go into the DMs, talk to me in the DMs, and I'll give you if you want paid, I'll give you a discount on the paid subscription.
There we go, man. That's very kind. Guys, don't forget to do that, man. You guys are incredible. You guys are great. We're going to continue. We got another 4 minutes. And if we don't have anybody dropping any question, I'm going to drop one. I'm going to ask one because I didn't get to ask one. Yes, Lino Molina. Amen to that. I will ask a question. We'll close the doors to this. Who won the Crusades then? Who won?
Well, I guess in the end, neither the Muslims nor the Christians won because that land is controlled by the Jews now.
Right.
So
yep.
I guess, yeah, no.
But what would we say? Would we call it ultimately a stalemate? What could you actually say about that?
Well,
Crusades in general. Was there a clear winner? What would you say?
Well, like that land is obviously not in Christian control now, but
sure,
it kind of militarized the church and allowed them to take back land in Spain. We got land back in Cyprus, and I guess the Turks conquered that in 1570, right before the Battle of Lepanto, but it was in Christian hands for a long time. Sicily. I don't tend to view it as who won, who lost.
Right.
But I tend to view it as like a course of events, which I want the true facts for. I mean, if you want to say the Christians ultimately lost, I guess that's true, but because that land is not ours anymore. But no, it's a part of history. We need to treat fairly, just like we need to treat everything fairly. Like I'm doing a lot of research now on Saint Joan of Arc. In fact, if you go to my Substack, there's stuff on Joan of Arc, and the lies about her life are not necessarily her, but the people that surrounded her. I don't know if I have any time to go into it, but
yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Okay. If you watch the movies, again, it's always Hollywood. The movies about Joan of Arc, as King Charles VII, he likes that Joan of Arc had some victories and she got him crowned, but then after he can't get rid of her quick enough, right? It's kind of like, you've served your purpose, you're done. But no, that's not true at all. He was always a believer. And 20 years later, when he takes Normandy, the city of Rouen, that's where Joan's trial was and where she was burnt at the stake, he rounds up everyone who was involved with the trial who's still alive, which was most of them. It was only 20 years.
Sure.
And he has them all interrogated. And he cooperates with Joan's family, and they get the Pope to reopen the trial to restore her honor. There was no motivation for him to do that if he didn't care about her anymore. He was always a believer in Joan. And just learning about that made me so happy, because in all the movies, she's burnt at the stake, completely abandoned. The English hate her.
Right.
The French backstabbed her, and she's just there. No. The French, especially the king, always believed in Joan, or else he wouldn't have done that when he took Normandy 20 years later, at the end of the 100 Years' War.
That makes sense. Great point. Well, with that, we're going to close this. Devor, thank you, brother. Thank you for the kind comments. God bless you, brother. Glad you all enjoyed this. I hope you all had a lot of fun. And guys, we will bring Alan back again. We got to bring him back onto the radio show again. And we got to bring you back here onto Patristic Pillars in general again, brother. Any final words before we completely close the doors, brother? Any final words? Any final plug?
My final plug, find me on YouTube, Substack, and X, and Christ is King.
Amen. Indeed. Christ is King. Christ is risen. We love all of you all. Y'all are great. Y'all are phenomenal. Now we're going to play our outro music. Guys, thank you for your support. Thank you for showing up. Don't forget to pray for all of us. You guys are incredible, phenomenal. We'll be back again soon. Love you all.
My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior.